Today we are on our Wednesday science review because we're going to take our test tomorrow. Start by getting your name at the top. Then at the bottom we've got some words that are our vocab words, and then we need to find the definition down, match them with the right definition at the bottom. If you don't know what any of those words are, remember the page numbers are right here that can show you that, okay? So, a blank eats only animals, while a blank eats only plants. So look at these words. Which one eats only animals? Carnivore, competition, consumer, decomposer, decay, disease, germs, herbivore, omnivore, predator, prey, producer. Remember, carnivore eats only animals. So for number 1, you put carnivore in the first blank. While a blank eats only plants. Well, that was an herbivore. Remember, herbs think they're plants, so an herbivore eats only plants. Number 2, bacteria and viruses are blank that can cause blank. What are they? Well, they're germs, right? That can cause disease. A blank is a consumer that hunts other food. If it goes hunting for food, what is it? It's going hunting for food. It's a predator, right? It's looking for that prey, so it's a predator. And the next one, a blank is a living thing that must eat food to get energy. If it's got to eat food, it can't produce its own. It's got to consume it. It's got to eat it, so it's a consumer. And then a producer is going to make its own food. It's making its own food. It's a producer. Number 6, blank happens between living things that have a need for the same resources. So if two things need the same resources, what are they going to do? If they're both going to go after the same food, they're in competition, right? They're trying to make sure that they're the ones that get that. So competition. A blank eats both plants and animals. That's like us. Omnivore. This would be a great worksheet to look back at tomorrow for your test to help you, right? Use your resources, use your book, use this, right? Your home, you might as well use it all. 8, blank happens when a blank breaks down a living thing that has died. Ooh, keywords here. Something that has died. Decay, right? Decay happens when a decomposer breaks down a living thing that has died. Okay, that's decay. And the last one, let's see if prey works for that. An animal that's hunted by others. Yep, that's prey. Awesome, let's keep going. 10 says, trace the flow of energy from beginning to end in the following food chain. Sorry, that's too high for you. A ferret eats prairie dogs, which eats grasses and other plants. So where does the energy start? The sun, right? It's always going to start with the sun. So we got sun first. Then it goes into what? Grass. After the grass, what eats the grass? Prairie dogs. And what eats the prairie dogs? Ferrets. Okay. Explain why some plants that are put in a new area can become dangerous weeds. Remember we talked about competition and invasive species. If a new species comes to an area that's not a species that's normally there, and If there's no animals that eat that plant, well, all of a sudden that plant might take over because nothing's eating it. If no animals eat the plant, it can grow too much. Right? If it grows too much, that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing because then other plants that normally grow in that space don't have space to grow and they eventually die off. Would be bad for the animals too, because then the animals lose their food that ate the plant that can no longer grow. Explain the helpful and harmful effects ground fires have on plants in a forest community. Helpful? Well, it makes space for new plants. All of a sudden, new plants can grow there. Harmful? Well, it just destroys plants that are living there. All right, go ahead, pause it there. I'm flipping it over. Describe ways to stay healthy. I've got two that I'm thinking of here. The first one, I want you to write different ways to exercise. You can find 3 ways to exercise. Write them down here. And then on this side, avoid germs. How can you avoid germs? Right, 3 ways there. So washing your hands, wearing a mask, covering your mouth when you sneeze, all of those things. All right, pause the video. I'm moving on to our 2 multiple choice problems. Which living things helps the second living thing in the pair survive? Does a barnacle help a crayfish? Now the barnacle helps the whale, remember. Does the yucca moth help the whale? No, remember the yucca moth helps the yucca plant. What about a Douglas fir and the western hemlock? In our book here, on the bottom of page 118, we read that western hemlock trees live in the same forest. Seeds from their cones can land on the decaying Douglas fir logs. The decaying logs supply things that help the young seedlings to grow. Also, light reaches logs in the open where the giant trees once stood. Okay, so we've got the western hemlocks helping the Douglas firs. The Douglas firs helping the western hemlocks. So C. And then 19, which of the following is true? Your lungs are part of the circulatory system. Nope, lungs are part of the respiratory system. B, exercise maintains health. Yep. C, washing your hands after coughing spreads germs. Washing your hands spreads germs? It's ridiculous. Nutrients pass through the walls of the intestine into the stomach. No, they pass through the walls of the intestine into your blood. They're not going back into the stomach. All right, that should be an A+ on that science review. Remember to use this tomorrow on your science test. Okay, go look, find the answers so that you can do really well on your science test.